for a nice soul first pick.
Yep, it's probably going to be Renata as well, so we'll see what they're going to go for. We do see the Jax being banned away. This is becoming more prevalent as teams start to play against it. The Jax is just very good for Cube. Cube, it's his pocket pick, similar to Shanji and the Shyvana. It's just getting to a point where it's like, look, you're going to have to commit a ban to this because he will blind it, and there's nothing you can do about it. So have to be able to ban that, have to be able to respect it. We will see now where Rare Adam want to take their final ban as we wait to see now.
Seems like they're probably debating between the Renata and the Wukong.
I think that's a misban. I think that's a misban.
I mean, it's either a misban or, who knows, right? We could see if there was some sort of error going up with that one, because if not, you would expect that RA were deliberating between Wukong and Renata. Renata typically being that thing that does open up 2 picks, but no, JDG actually not going to go towards either of them. They don't want to feel the same, let's say, timer or pressure that they had last game, because remember, even though JDG lost, JDG did have a commanding lead. It was just things like the Jax and the Aphelios getting to that point where JDG's comp just could not take them down, so now JDG going to go towards this, but it does give over the Wukong over to the side of Raratum. I wonder if RA go towards the Renata next and maybe go for a Callisto Renata, or if they don't, and they're like, hey, maybe we just match with something like the Jinx at this point in time and try to once again just get to that point of like 3 items and match team fighting with team fighting.
Yeah, again, I think that the Nun ban here kind of just said instead of getting 1 each, we actually get 2. It could have been a strategical thing as well. They could have said, look, if we don't ban anything, we get the Wukong, maybe we get the Renata as well, but they're going to try and go for 80 carries instead and maybe look towards that Jinx. We're back to the handshake lyric, and I'm very sad.
So no team feeling confident enough to try to win out in that 2v2 and take the game off of that momentum. Kanavi now finally going to get his hands on the Viego if they do decide to lock this in. It would be what I would expect. Try and play for those resets, especially if you're taking away a lot from last game of this being very 5v5 oriented. It feels like that's the way to go as compared to something like the Lee Sin, and still going to believe in Yagao's Ahri, despite the fact that, late game it did kind of fall off. He was still finding a lot of impactful charms early on in the series, and Strive going to answer with the typical answer to Lissandra. This is his first Lissandra of the split, though. Yeah, so we haven't seen it out of him just yet, but it has kind of become a staple within the mid lane matchup since the likes of Ahri and LeBlanc have become so prevalent between all these different teams. So yeah, expect he's got pretty good practice on it in scrims, you would imagine, but we'll wait to see now where he kind of wants to go for it. And I think he's actually got a pretty decent win rate on the Lissandra. I think the last time we did see him on it is Spring Split this year, but it was against someone, I can't remember exactly who. You would think, right, that he should have a solid foundation of the laning and just how the champion functions. I feel like one of the things you have to see on Lissandra is finding those angles to be able to get that E into the back line and really just be a massive a massive controller of space, a massive controller to open up iBoy to once again have a standout performance like he did in Game 1. So that's what we'll be looking out for Strive and team fights. They have a lot of engage and all-in so far with this combo, and now both teams kind of recognizing the importance that their top laners have for each squad are going to target that role specifically. See what they want to go for. The Renata does eventually get hit on the ban list, as the Gnar as well for Rare Atom, and we're going to start to see maybe another top lane ban coming out here for JDG. They're going to say, look, we don't want to give anything that can take over a match, but no, they're actually going to go for the Tam Kench, getting rid of that safety for the Jinx. We do see the Tam Kench comboed up with the Jinx very often, so I actually quite like this ban coming out from JDG, but Yanja has got plenty up his sleeve, so he's got plenty of options to go to. Yeah, I think the Nautilus would be a nice takeaway from the side of JDG if he did decide to go back towards the Rakan. I think that would just be an all-in onto comfort, but he will just lock this one in. And now for JDG, they're going to be the ones who have to blind pick their top laner. I'm curious to see where JDG go with that. If they do decide to lock in the Braum, they're going to be very lacking on engage and playing a lot with Yagao's Charm and Yagao's Everfrost to be the thing to start off. I guess when you're looking at Wukong, Nautilus, and Lissandra, though, you know that they should be looking to come into you. But now for Throne, yes. Yep, there we go. That is a very 3-6-9 pick. It is his most played tank so far this split, sitting 3-0 on the Scion.
Yeah, definitely something he is very comfortable with. RA, though, is thinking about what they could maybe take into it as a little bit of a tank killer. So they hover over quite a few things. We'll wait until it's locked and loaded. I would love to see the Camille. I think it would give them a great diving buddy to go alongside this Wukong. And should they lock it in, doesn't have a bad laning phase against the Scion either.
I mean, you just hit it right. RA, all about the dive, getting straight onto the Aphelios, kind of honing in on the fact that just like we've seen a lot from RA this series, that Hope is going to be the one stepping up to be that primary damage dealer for JDG. Now I like it because they do have some engage of their own to set up for the Aphelios, to set up for Kanavi's Viego as well, but also having some disengage, also having some peel for Hope, and just the Braum ultimate going to do so much to where if Strive and Leyen find their way onto the back line, they can buy some time, they can buy some space for him to be able to land a big Moonlight Vigil. So we get to Game 3, and it's going to be all about the huge 5v5s coming out from both squads.
I mean, you've got to be pretty confident as both teams. You just came off of 2 games where the 5v5s were king. Whoever had the better team composition for those big late-game team fights came up. I think both teams have very good options available to them in order to make whatever their composition needs work, but it's all about execution. It's all about finding the right targets at the right times, and honestly, just getting use out of those big ultimates.
Yeah, I mean, right, a big ultimate's the name of the game. Both sides feels like they have to hit, they have to be impactful. I'm curious to see what mid laners are able to do, because they are going to be like one of the bridges around early objectives, things like first Rift Herald, to be able to find picks, start opening the game up, and at least getting the game into a direction for one of these teams, because now it's not as big of a disparity as Game 2, to where it's like, if JDG, you know, get ahead, they at least don't have to worry about like, hey, like we need to keep forcing, we need to keep this momentum going. They can chill, they can play a little bit more methodically, but the same thing stays true for RA.
We are jumping onto the Rift for Game 3, the 5th game of the day, the final game of the day as we round off the first day of Week 6. JDG looking to continue their winning streak, or at least their winning column, to keep them in tow with V5, who they've yet to play. And of course, RA desperate to try and get some wins together. Like you mentioned earlier today, we are into the second half of the split. We are in the second half of the season. So now we're starting to see these matches become more and more important. You know, every match does matter, but at the same time, you know, you're going to eventually get mathematically knocked out if you're not too careful.
Yes, RA right now are only sitting 2 series wins behind FPX and OMG. The current team sitting in that 9th and 10th place spot. They are only 1 game under TT, who are sitting in 11th. So a win like this, where in LPL you only play everyone once, this is not something that you would expect the other teams competing for the same position as them to be able to do. So huge upsets are always nice. I guess wins against teams competing for the slot are a little bit more impactful, but still, I mean, this would just be a huge win in not only just the column for standings, but also for momentum, for confidence, for pushing into your next match and being able to deliver.
Yeah, and again, we can kind of look at kind of how TT are set up as such, and, or, excuse me, not TT, I don't know why I said TT, RA are set up. You know, they have had a couple of tough games, but it doesn't really get much easier from here. Yes, they do play against BLG later on this week, but then it's Top Esports, RNG, EDG.
All in a row.
Tough. Yeah, it's tough. It's a tough run. So a win here could be, you know, a very, very huge kind of momentum boost for them, because it means that they can go toe-to-toe with some of the better teams.
Yeah, so they're going to have to do it, and a lot of it going to have to be off of iBoy once again. iBoy and Cube just being set up as their big late-game carries. Kind of a swap in their style to where we were seeing Strive earlier on in the split being set up for that. But now it's all about Loyan and Strive kind of linking up, working together. They have good ganks set up around mid. And, right, even though 369 will get to a point later on where it will be kind of hard to kill him, kind of hard to take him down, things like early pressure in the top side is something you could invest in to find Cube an advantage and leave him on an island on his own. You could see 369 recognizes that and even puts his own ward in Tribrush just to make sure he doesn't fall prey to any early ganks coming out from the side of Rear Adam.
Well, Yanja sadly does not hit a hook, but does take a chunk of his health off of him, so ends up having to walk back a little bit. But again, good pressure here. This is something we've always seen from the matchup of Jinx versus Aphelios for years at this point, to be perfectly honest. At this point, it's well ingrained in us. The Jinx will always have early priority. You will always be able to get that early push going for yourself. But I find what makes the difference between the Jinx and Aphelios matchup is what can you do with that early priority. We do see certain teams go for resets.
Yeah.
We see certain teams go for objectives. Is what can you do with it that matters.
And let's remember that like it was kind of hit, right? Because one of the things that kind of hurt Jinx was the early mana for the Rockets being nerfed, which means you can't just mindlessly push as easily as you used to. And then JDG also having the Braum, so kind of accepting a lot of the pressure being brought into them. And they're fine, right? They're fine getting pushed in and just kind of having to take a back seat in the early game. For RA, potentially they could use not only their bot prio, but I think especially the push and control that they've had in mid to try and turn that into some early Drakes, and then maybe putting the heat onto the side of JDG. But bot lane matchup, all matchups kind of going as expected so far, and both junglers just cycling through their camps. But Luyan going to finally start to get a bit of vision down and have some semblance of information on what Kanavi's going to be looking to do. As they ping out his Krug camp now, they know where he is. Same should go for JDG. They should know he would be around his Gromp right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you see now the early prior was talking about iBoy gets a little cheeky recall off, gets himself a Cull, so he's going to be stacking that one up nicely. And again, it's about who picks up their first kind of core item in this matchup that gives you that early priority.
Well, and we need to remember, right, for the AD carries, like typically the Aphelios thing is once you get that Gale Force, because then you could start looking for plays to Gale Force in with the Moonlight Vigil and really have a lot more impact as compared to the Jinx, who wants to sit back, is waiting to get excited, and that's when you take over fights. But, you know, it's time to get the hot cocoa machine, kick the fade up, get some slippers on, because right with things like calls with these drafts, it does show that we are going to be in for a little bit of a long one. But I really feel like either team can potentially look for that play around mid. Looks like Kanavi trying to help Yagao get a bit of a reset right now on the minimap, and neither team going to be able to find the gank coming through.
You've got to be careful of that decimating smash cube. You will not be taking some fairly decent trades if you continue to get hit like that, and this is kind of part and parcel for the matchup. The Scion will use just all his mana, try and push that one up, but Leanne is already walking up here, so we'll recognize that he's sitting on top of a ward, so just clears that off, and already we're starting to see level 6s come in. We haven't had a lot of action just yet, but a lot of farming does mean that we get that very early 6 for the mid laners, and obviously the junglers and the top laners should be following in suit very shortly.
I think one thing we can expect, though, is once Herald comes up, that's when both teams are going to be posturing. We're going to be getting some action. But there was, Strive TPing straight to the bottom lane.
Yeah, I understand the idea. I like what they tried to do there, but I don't think they realized just how early Kanavi had started himself on that dragon.
He still wants to go.
He still wants to go.
He might find it. He might find it.
He's looking for someone. He's going for it. They're going to immediately get Hope over the side, though, with a
flashes.
flash. And that's going to be Yuyanja, though, getting caught out. The charm does land, though, onto Leyen, who has to flash away with the exhaust ticking on top of him, and he's got the concussive blows as well. But a flash forward from Strife keeps his his jungler alive and ends up giving up his own life. I'm not quite sure if that's worth it, but JDG first blood.
Whoa. If there's one thing we've learned from that play, it's that Strive is a true homie. Someone was dying in that play, saying, hey, it's going to be me. Lil Yen gets to go back to his standard thing, gets straight to the Raptors, and starts farming back up. It was a nice idea, right? Pretty clever of them to commit for the play. Even just Strive throwing the E over the wall, he didn't even follow it through, was enough to force Hope to flash. But once they saw that happen, Yagao instantly going in for the charm. So JDG, the one to capitalize, we were saying, hey, we won't get any action until Rift Herald. Both teams proving us wrong.
Yeah, absolutely proving us wrong. And JDG taking another early advantage. And we talked about how last game they were able to just kind of bully RA into certain situations, but RA with the better scaling were able to kind of keep it going for themselves.
Yeah, and both teams hovering around top right now. JDG actually had some pings come out, so Yagao's waiting in the wings. Lien gonna look for this play. Yagao should be able to get here in time to respond.
Yeah, Yagao should be able to get here. Cube has no mana, so he's not really going to be able to commit with the Hextech Ultimatum. It's not really a position to be able to go for. It looks like RA is going to use Lien to try and just get a reset in for Cube.
So not too much going to come out so far as Yagao does get the recall off, does TP back to lane, so he's going to be just fine. But we're getting up to that point, right? Herald about to come up in 10 seconds. Neither top laner having TP and neither top laner having mana, so it feels like it'd be quite hard-pressed to just start this one up right away. But JG already to commit missing to the mid lane. I don't know how close he is to that level 6 mark, so okay, looks like not close enough to be able to get it just off this one wave, but JDG wanting to be the team to pick this one up, and it looks like Hope should be able to potentially finish off clearing out this wave, so shouldn't feel like he's under too much threat in terms of iBoy being able to push some plates down quickly.
Yeah, right now it is just kind of all wins for JDG. They don't lose anything on the bot side. They don't lose the Rift Herald. They don't have to commit over resources to any lane, and they end up kind of looking a little bit better for it. Even now with the Rift Herald going down, it should still just be a cup, maybe a plate, or maybe 2 plates, depending on it. I don't think the Jinx really has that much damage. Yeah. Don't think the Jinx has that much damage that early, but at least the plate should be going over here to iBoy, so they'll get something on the side of RA, but not exactly ideal for the side of Rare Adam.
Well, I mean, it's just a losing trade, right? Because at least Rift Herald, you'll be able to guarantee 2 plates to come through. So a bit of hesitation coming out from RA because they kind of started to bring Yuyanja up, and then they're like, maybe not. I kind of like the bottom half of the map. It's a lot cooler down here. We have AC, unlike in places like Ireland. You know, we're just chilling.
What is Rift Herald Ireland now? It's just like doesn't have AC. The temperatures are sweltering.
Rift Herald is Ireland. Confirmed. Not as hot as Arizona, but
no,
we do have AC.
It's a different type of hot. It's really weird. It's like in Ireland, it will get up to like, I think today it's gonna get up to 25 degrees or something like that, and it's like it won't feel like that's that warm, but because like houses are so well insulated and everything, it just feels like it's like 35, 40. It's insane. But anyway, we're cold creatures. We do love the winter. It's also the land of. It used to be called Hibernia by the Romans, the land of winter.
I like this. I love us. Oh, I'll pause.
Strive. He's going to jump straight in on top of you, and that's just going to be you dead. Now Yagao gets some resets here on his ultimate. They're going to have to try and get the Hextech ultimatum here out of Cube. Cube's not really in a position to try and fight this one here. 369 just tanking up this turret. Now, though, RA with the Cyclone putting on some decent damage. Trying to turn this one back, but Lien's so low. Yagao does fall. They try to get the dredge line down. Not quite able to save the Camille as more resets do come in. Kanavi now going to force Yuyanja to flash closer to his turret. And while that's been happening, you can see on the bot side. Yeah, the bot side, you're just getting iBoy completely zoned out from this turret.
We saw RA be the team to commit more resources to top side, and they're the ones who ended up losing out the extended play. Consider that JDG got the first pick extremely early on before Yuyanja can make it, and now 2 plates over the bot lane. You still have Herald as JDG to look to drop it, but here, Yagao able to make it over the wall with the ultimate come out from 369, and I mean, Strive doesn't even have a chance to move. He was CC'd the whole time, and now they're able to keep going because, sure, we have Nautilus coming up, but it is a 3v2. The Jinx Rocket making no difference, and Loyen trying to find the re-engage considering he knows Yuyanja's here, but Cube's already so low. So sure, Cube goes in, finishes off Yagao, but it's like, hey, he goes down to Kanavi. Now you give him a reset, which means that Kanavi can keep going more. So before, I mean, just in his normal form, he would have had to back off the play.
Well, Kanavi does see the Nautilus go over the wall with the Hextech flash, so just
Sheen.
Back himself up.
Look at item advantages now. Already 2 mythics coming out for JDG. 369 even going with the, hey, I want to troll you in the 1v1 build, building the Bramble Vest to just be an annoyance, take even less damage, do more damage to Cube up in that top lane matchup, even stealing away Loyen's Raptors.
Yeah, JDG, they love the third game. They really, really do. And they tend to just look so much better when they get it. The Rift Herald has been dropped now on this bot side. Actually not going to get a charge. So you remember those guaranteed 2 plates you talked about a little earlier? The guarantee that you gave me and JDG. Well,
whoa. Well, I didn't give you or JDG anything. JDG gave us that guarantee, and they didn't cash in on it. So
your words, man.
Which
your
is kind of funny. It's kind of funny right after you said it, JDG looking much better in Game 3s. It's like, apparently not. But
I mean, sometimes they like to make it a little bit more.
The more I see JDG, the more I believe that Yagao was serious when he's like, you know what? We really like having an extra game every week. The more I believe it.
The more I did too, because it just feels like they love the practice. But Kraken Slayer now has been finished up for iBoy, even gets himself up to those Berserker Greaves, so not doing too badly himself. The Divine Sunderer for Cube should keep him relatively healthy, but it's already a level disadvantage here for the RA top laner, who's now going to have Yagao. He already fully commits on it with the hook shot, wall shot. TP going to be coming in for Cube to try and keep him
Oh,
alive. And actually,
everything.
he might feel like this. They're going to try and commit everything on top of 369. He's still very tanky. They don't know that Strive is here just yet, but they did see pings going out on the turret. They have a feeling that the TP came out.
Yagao missed absolutely everything, so not able to capitalize on the fact that the hookshot, wall shot came out from Cube. Feels like a little bit of a missed opportunity for the side of JDG. 369, no teleport, no ultimate. Wouldn't be able to get here quickly, so if RA can find this pick onto Kanavi, that would be huge.
I think he just saw the
Yep.
the special effects, shall we say, the AoE effects of the Lissandra. So already putting out pings to say back up, we don't need to be here. But that does mean that RA know that the jungler of JDG is in that top side, and maybe they could sneak away a play just before these the 14-minute mark. They do just that, and that's going to be nice for iBoy. He's kind of stacking himself up nicely here, and honestly, I think missing is very low. Oh!
Hope also still hasn't backed yet, so we do have that mythic advantage coming on through. You would have to assume that Hope should be on that Gale Force already, probably even a little bit more, but maybe trying to bait out a play here. Look at the minimap. Yagao's making his way down as well.
Yeah, Yanja needs to run away, but he gets stunned up. The concussive blows are going to be good alongside the Glacial Fissure. And that's going to be a trade of kills, though. So 1 for 1, despite 4 members of JDG committing to that bot side. So RA, they would have loved that to go into iBoy, but you'll take a 1 for 1 any day.
Ooh, okay, Yagao getting caught out.
Yeah, doesn't have himself the Spirit Rush just yet, and that's going to be another kill going over to the side of RA. And this game was starting to look like very JDG favorite, but honestly, since that Rift Herald play, it's not really sticking for them.
And I wasn't a big fan of how much they committed onto you, Yanja. Like, I get looking for the play, right? Because your bot laners are low. You know RA's bot lane probably going to try to push that advantage and look for the aggression further. But trading 1 for 1, you're committing so much to the bottom side of the map. Rift Herald's about to come up. It just doesn't feel worth to me. As you see, 2 ultimates brought in, but iBoy, they can just keep hitting missing all day long, knowing they can't close the distance. iBoy even would still have his summoners up if anything went wrong. And then Yagao taking a pretty greedy path back up to mid lane. They didn't know where Lilian was. Does end up getting caught out.
I mean, iBoy getting 2 assists there. I'm very surprised he got the second one because he actually only hit Yagao from the previous skirmish, but able to take the full first turret. So all of a sudden, what was it, a gold lead for JDG has now swung back in favor of RA. And Lyric, we've seen it time and time again. The split push pressure of a Camille, the team fighting of a Jinx. When you get those resets, it can be almost impossible to deal with. So right now, JDG, you got to start cleaning up these fights. You're not really on the home stretch just yet.
Especially with having that Jinx, right? Because sure, like JDG have like some peel and disengage coming out with their Braum, but I mean, Jinx will just outrange the Aphelios later on. So if it's just a battle of, okay, we're both just going to hit front lines until one team is confident enough to engage, iBoy should be able to hit JDG's front line more than Hope can do so in return. So it's something we have to be aware of. They got bot lane turret. They'll now be able to capitalize on taking this Rift Herald. So RA in a phenomenal spot. JDG, you would expect to probably start transitioning down to getting Vision on Dragon, but I guess not. We're going to have a fight.
We're going to have a bit of a fight coming in now. It's a 3v4 as Cube's getting himself caught out. The Super Mega Det Rocket does literally nothing as Cube's just trying to waste as much time as he possibly can. We'll accept that he is dead. They did get the Rift Herald here for the side of RA, and immediately they want to try and turn it into a mid lane tier 1.
They're going to be able to get this as well. The other members of JDG are making their way over, but yep.
Oh,
weren't able to get done. Yagao!
Oh, he gets caught out, but he has the cleanse to keep himself safe. Now missing is here. We'll have the Glacial Fissure to try and separate them out. Doesn't really get the knock up though as Yagao gets caught out.
Yeah.
The heal is not enough. The TP's going to be coming in from 369. They almost get down the Braum, but missing just about keeps himself alive. And now iBoy has to try and get over the wall. He will, but he's followed by absolutely everybody. Yanja misses the dredge line, and after all that's said and done, RA, it looks so good, but it ends up so bad.
What is going on where both teams have someone getting caught out? It's kind of baiting us. We think the other team's going to win the fight. And in the end, JDG are able to take it. The difference maker, 369 TPing in. Cube didn't opt into joining the fight, maybe because he didn't have Hextech Ultimatum available. We also saw Lissandra not here as well, as we're going to go pretty far back to see JDG why they decided to look for the split on top side instead of trying to get some early vision set up for Dragon. They're able to get on top of Cube, lock him down. Doesn't have the flash, does have the Hextech Ultimatum, but I don't know, you locked yourself in with a Scion and a Viego. That didn't do anything for you, my dude. RA I like the play of dropping Rift Herald. Yagao walking so far forward, opens himself up to damage. I guess a little bit of a bait, but I don't believe it was a bait, Sheen. I believe he actually genuinely just got caught out. As during this replay, it seems like we lost a turret down on the bot side, but here, we see the difference. Lissandra not here, Camille still being down, Sion able to come in, and JDG take the fight.
Turret got taken in the mid lane. A Braum got taken as well. So Missing died in the last fight. Also died as soon as we came back. So he's been spending an awful lot of time in the gray screen. We actually have 2 items now here for iBoy. So he's very confident with just walking up here. And JDG, they're slow on the rotation here. They're going to lose most of this turret. It's going to be set up to now, next time RA get a push, they're going to be able to take it.
RA, I think, are in prime position to be able to take this game. It's still anyone's, right? Gold is exactly even. Both teams have the tools to be able to win out in 5v5s. A lot of it going to come down to who can execute better, but just the fact of the Jinx range that we hit on earlier, and now having that rapid fire cannon, so every so often, right, even to be able to get a little bit more poke down is going to be nice. But now, both teams seem to have been just catching sideways, trying to play for another item spike. Zanya's now built on Yagao, and
Cube felt the pressure. They didn't have any vision down that bot side. He saw that everyone was starting to lean down towards him. I think he thought he had a lot less time than he had.
They have a ton of vision down on the bot side. They have tons. RA have 3
red.
wards in bot side jungle. RA
they're the
have
red
a ward
side.
river.
My bad. I completely mixed up my colors. Yeah, Cube was just, you know what? He felt really threatened, all right? All right, there's nothing wrong. If you're feeling upset, if you're feeling, not okay, just get out. Just go for a walk. TP to the bot lane or tier 2 turret or something. I don't know. What turret did he go to? Inhibitor? No, in Nexus turret. That's what eventually I got there after naming them all.
I was going to say. It would be hard to be wrong when you do list all of them.
Just name everything and you'll win. That's how this one works. But speaking of winning, JDG starting to win this mid lane push, but they're going to drop down the from below and a TP as well. That's going to be Strife on the backside of this one here. He's going to try find Hope. He's fully committing to this one right now. Has to go into stasis and immediately try and jump on top of iBoy as iBoy is liking to make this one work. He's getting the resets. He's getting excited, and so should RA fans as they're starting to take this fight and take this game.
RA, they finally engage with the Nautilus. iBoy even still going forward, but no, aren't going to be able to find it. They turn back on to the Baron. JDG, they overcommit for a turret. Yuyanja finds the lockdown, and then, Hope looks forward, enemies. To the left, enemies. To the right, more enemies. What do you do when RA are surrounding you on all sides?
Everybody gonna be my enemy. Sorry.
No. Please,
love
we see here, right? The engage comes through from Yuyanja, but Strive TP's in really nice workaround as well with that E, and then the Hextech ultimatum comes through. Lil Yen jumps on top of him as well. Missing goes down, and in the back line, iBoy dancing around the fight perfectly, and you don't have anyone who can really just jump to the backline with as much ease as the members of RA can, right? Both Camille and Lissandra. Lissandra E, Camille hookshot, wall shot, and Hextech ultimatum. Sure, Yagao can dance around the fight with his ultimate. 369 can ult in, but if there's other members kind of blocking the way of these paths, you aren't going to get onto iBoy. So for RA, nice use of their tools. Nice job recognizing that play was available, and Cube was mind gaming them with that TP all along.
It was all a bait right there. They completely forgot that they had another TP in the back pocket as well, but not quite out of the woods just yet. This next dragon will be sole point here for JDG. As you can see, iBoy not quite on 3 items, so it's still ahead of the curve compared to what Hope is, but still not quite there yet. You do not have a flash on Yagao anymore, but he has an ignite and a cleanse, so he's got some good combat summoners here should he get in a good position or even get caught out.
Oh no.
That was close. That was very close.
That's
there.
so good for RA.
It is so good, but Leanne's already dead. We can see now Stripe going in, trying to get on top of Hope, but Hope is not going down right now. They're throwing everything in the kitchen sink at him, but he's still an Aphelios. The cleanse comes out here for Yagao, and what? RA? What happened?
You just had Nautilus Hook force the Aphelios flash, and it felt like they felt too much sense of urgency, right? They felt, hey, we got the flash, we need to go in right now, but it's like, no, you guys don't. You can play more, find your angles, try and get Strive off to a side, get Cube off to, a flanking position and come in, but you just said they threw everything at them, and Hope absolutely loved that. It's just so disheartening for the side of RA. Well, where it felt like they were the ones in the commanding position. They were the ones kind of playing off some of the errors coming out from JDG, and JDG completely take advantage, find the gold swing back, get another dragon in here, right? This was fine. I don't feel like here's where you need to over-aggress. You can back off. You can play a little bit slower. Dragon isn't up yet, but still waiting in the wings. 369 gets on top of him. And here, look at like Missing and Kanavi keeping members away. iBoy's not able to walk in and actually auto Hope. And then as JDG, 369 locks him down. Hope's able to just keep auto attacking them. He has the Severum, so has the lifesteal as well to make sure he doesn't go down. And everything just came out aces for the side of JDG.
Yeah, really just... I honestly felt like RA just hit a panic button once they recognized that Leon was just caught out. They were like, we need to go now. We don't have a choice. But again, they're going to see another catch out as they got themselves the concussive blows on the Cube, and Cube's going to get fallen as JDG are just destroying RA. RA need to just recenter themselves, figure it out. Don't panic, but they're just still panicking because they're about to lose their job and lose their game. 2 kills coming over to the Viego, and honestly, it's going to be a third for the side of our JDG, and never
not
mind,
able to find it.
Gets himself out. He's on literally 70 HP, but Strife, he's in no man land.
Yeah, let's see how clever he could be in regards to his E. He is completely, he is in the position that Hope was in before, where we said like, look to your front, remember JDG, behind JDG, to the right JDG, on the moon, JDG.
To the moon.
But, yeah, as we're going to see here, how this all started, because we did just oh no, Cube goes for the hook shot, wall shot.
I was like, how does he get caught there? Surely he just gets out by the hook shot, wall shot. That is why we didn't see the hook shot, wall shot. He obviously, that feels bad, man. That's a feels bad man right there. And again, I can't even fault iBoy. And yes, iBoy has been a bit of a stickler for RA so far this split, but like, what's he supposed to do in this situation? Like you said, everyone's just jumping on him and he has no support.
No, and we even saw the value of the Braum in that fight as well, to where, like, I mean, him just absorbing so much damage. And we said, it comes to like a battle of front lines where we have the extended posturing stare up that we usually do. That's where like Jinx will do well. But if JDG are on the members of RA and iBoy's just able to hit Braum, but you're taking down key members like Strive, Cube, Leyen, of course JDG are going to win out. I still want to say, I don't think the game is like completely over for RA. We've already seen them win Game 2 when they were like 5k gold behind off of a Baron steal into a really good fight. But JDG certainly having the momentum going forward. A lot of power on especially their top side, because when you look at AD carries, I mean, iBoy actually still up over Hope, considering he's sitting on 3 items, has the IE. Hope doesn't have his build yet, instead got an early locket. Knowing there's so much dive threat on him, opting into the survivability, maybe instead of having, that extra gold to be able to get to the Infinity Edge quicker.
Yeah, I will say, you have got the Infinity Edge now for iBoy, so he's in a very powerful position as the Jinx. Stopwatch has been picked up for Hope, so should he get jumped on, he does have a slight out, or at least a delayed tactic before the rest of his team can help, and we shouldn't really see anything for another minute 50, or excuse me, another minute 30. As we wait to see the next dragon spawn up. That means third item's probably going to come out here for 369. That means third item and Infinity Edge for Hope. That probably also means maybe even another half item, depending on how Yago's feeling. He hasn't had the greatest of times so far this game, but he's definitely been stacking up that Dark Seal and has himself 3.5 items as well.
I also want to point out there's going to be a very small window where Hope's flash is coming up about right now to where iBoy still will not have his. Who knows if JDG would be aware of like this window or not, but if a fight broke out right now, you'd potentially have a fight where Hope can reposition and iBoy is stuck in place. Looks like iBoy is probably about 10 seconds out from coming up itself.
Leyen looking for a bit of a flank with the go in. Leyen's nowhere near this. They're going to try and jump onto the backside of this. Strife goes in, but already you can see that Hope is gone into stasis. They will take out the Nautilus and get a reset here. He flashes away his Cube, tries to jump onto this backside, but the Moonlight Vigil is good. They will take out Missing, but that's totally fine if you're JDG. RA, they just couldn't get iBoy into the fight, and you can see the lack of damage. Yagao thought he knew where Strife was, but sadly misses absolutely everything after the flash. And Cube, he's going to be run down here. They know they can cover off all exits, and he's going to have to try and get a very creative path to get out. This time round, he hits the hook shot, wall shot.
Is able to get out, but still Dragon coming up on the board. JDG are going to be very happy picking up that Mountain Soul. Even though RA couldn't connect onto Hope, I gotta say, I mean, they forced everything, right? They forced the stopwatch from coming out. They used the flash, the heal, the gale force. Like, he had to commit everything to being able to get away, and the whole time 369 was zoning out iBoy. But off the back of that fight, JDG will be able to pick up the Drake, so now having Mountain Soul, for 369 especially, this is gonna be huge. This silent oh no. He has flash
Tokyo
still.
Drift. He has flash, but Yuyanja does not. And Yuyanja's going to have to pay for the sins of his AD carry. And that's going to be another kill going over. With Baron live on the table, you've no way of establishing vision now on the side of RA. You're going to have to accept that this one's probably going to go over.
Yeah, I feel like with where you're at, you have to, oh, well, Loyan probably just dead here.
Maybe. They did pop out the Super Mega Jet Rocket to see if they can make something work. Lien, concussive blows. One more Q should be able to take him out. They don't even need it. They had the Spirit Rush there, and that's going to be Baron as well. RA was a valiant effort, but now 6,500 gold down, a Mountain Soul down, and a Baron 2 boot. It feels all but done.
We're just really sad for RA where, I mean, just one fight, one, like you said, panic button, one over-aggress really felt like it just gave JDG this complete game. As we see here, look at Hope. Instantly stopwatches Nautilus Hope from coming through into the Gale Force by so much distance between them. Flashes the hookshot, wall shot. Like, they made Hope work to stay alive, but stay alive he did. The whole time, 369, also you can see at the top center of the fight, is zoning out iBoy. So iBoy is sadly not able to walk up to do damage because everyone else trying to get on top of Hope. And now for JDG, they have a Baron, they have Soul, they can just keep forcing their way forward. Now even getting the Guardian Angel onto Hope, like they know what RA are gonna do, and they're doing everything they can to stop that game plan. 369 as well, 353 armor. iBoy and Cube aren't hurting this guy anytime soon.
No, you really aren't. And honestly, I think iBoy, he will still do damage. And again, JDG could mess up here. We do see the ultimate come out there from the Scion, so 369 will have access to that. Didn't even break his shield, to be perfectly honest. But it is just such a difficult situation to be in. Cube trying to see if they can maybe get them separated. But again, nothing's really catching out. JDG not giving people an opportunity to just, you know, get RA to get going right now. They're going to be able to keep the CC down on the Strife, who immediately has to go into stasis. The Moonlight Vigil completely whips. They tickle him a little bit, but look at Lien trying to go onto this backside. The iBoy is just trying to burn down through this absolute mountain of a Scion. He's getting there, but it's not going to be quick enough as Yagao just assassinates him on the backside. JDG, they have the scaling, they have the death timers, and they have everything they could have wanted. They're going to take this series 2-1.
JDG always bring it to 3 games. They made their fans at home. They were sweating. This game was very close for a large portion of it, but they're able to take the fight. Hope doing an excellent job at surviving, and Kanavi just taking over on the Viego.
Yeah, taking over on the Viego, 10-1 and 14. Absurd there. And of course, the unkillable 369. I think he was 3-0 and 15 right at the end there. And that's just going to be 2-1 to JDG, 8-1 on the scoreboard, and they keep themselves in tow with V5.
That was a strange game. Props, like, I will give props to RA, right? RA are sitting as a 2-5 team. They were going up against JDG, who are 7-1. They won a game, and then this